From attic to basement, we're here for you. It's quality service in all we do. Call Taylor 500 Help.
Taylor 500 Help to make sure that your furnace and your air conditioning are up to par as we head into the summertime. At some point in time, it is going to, of course, warm up. You want to make sure that everything checks out with Taylor Heating and Plumbing. That's Taylor 500 Help. If your house is a little bit drafty, that means your hot air is getting out and your cold air in the summertime is getting out. So you want to have the guys come over and make sure that your insulation is up to snuff. Tailor-made service. It's all customized to fit your needs, whatever you need at your house. Air conditioning, heating, plumbing, home energy, comprehensive maintenance plans. Of course, if you have a water heater, Bradford White water heaters, the way to go with Taylor Heating and Plumbing. You don't want your water heater to explode all over your basement, right? It's a mess. So if you notice that your water heater kind of is not working the way it should, call Taylor before that happens, and they will come over. And if you're thinking, you know what, these things are a little bit expensive, the water heaters, the furnaces, I get it. Don't stress the important repairs or replacements. Taylor can help you put together a financing plan that suits your budget. So, and if you're looking for a job, why not call Taylor? Taylor 500 Help is hiring for the current opportunities of HVAC techs, plumbers, project managers. They have office personnel jobs as well. It's Taylor 500 Help. Precision Lawn and Garden, North Avenue in Webster. Precision Lawn and Garden. If you've been looking for a big daddy of all lawnmowers, maybe you want a zero turn. My husband always points out all the women on the riding lawnmowers. I don't know why, but he's like, hey, look at that woman on a riding lawnmower. Hey, look at that woman on a riding lawnmower. So maybe you're a woman and you want a riding lawnmower. Kimberly up at Precision Lawn and Garden, she's the expert. She'll, point you in the right direction. They also have push mowers. They've got chainsaws. They've got everything you need. All your favorite brands, Toro, Kawasaki, Cub Cadet, Aaron's, you name it. Precision Lawn and Garden, North Avenue in Webster. And of course, you want your driveway sealed, don't you? Of course you do. On the east side only. Am I understanding that correctly? Yes. Express Sealers. Brian's your guy. 645-2010. 645-2010. He seals driveways in the summer. He plows in the winter, but you want to make sure you get on that reservation list for Express Sealers to have your driveway sealed. And of course, support our advertisers. They support us here at the We the People Podcast Network and Kimberly's Revolution.
Did you say there was a lot of hot air in here?
You don't want that hot air to escape. You need that hot air.
We open a window.
Speaking of that, Mr. Hummel's here. Live from the We the People podcast studio in cloudy 60-degree Irondequoit, New York.
Hello.
I'm very happy neither of their parents believed in abortion. Here they are.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. We're coming in hot.
It's Kimberly and Chad.
We're coming in hot. We are coming in hot. Hey, how are you guys doing? It is Kimberly's Revolution.
That was a rough landing.
We are the People Podcast Network. Yes, we're here. Our parents probably wished at some point that we wouldn't be, but
I don't know about you, Chad, but I was a mistake.
I was way before that 1973 decision. I was, 1965 baby here. I'm a Generation X all the way.
I just made it 1974.
Of course, you certainly did. You see, your mom would have hopped right on down to Planned Parenthood. So we have Chad Hummel. He is a lawyer. He is the broker of Revere Realty. He is the guy that handles all the legal paperwork that we get mailed to us from various individuals. Letters. Yeah. And of course, Just Tom is sitting right across from me today on a Tuesday. It's great to have Chad here, but of course, with this huge thing that's come out about the Supreme Court draft that has been leaked, showed up on Politico. We'll talk about that for just a second. Of course, Austin, our producer, here he is, making sure everything is buttoned up and performing the way it should be. As Austin, our great producer, always giving the thumbs up. And thanks to Fitz at Rockbox Productions, who makes sure that everything is always set up and is running right. And he kind of pointed us in the right direction when we said, well, we kind of like to do our own podcast and our own setup. And he said, I'll help you do that. So he can help you do that too. Fitz at Rockvox, ROCVOX Productions. So with that said, the fox is in the hen house. The fox in the hen house is the name of today's show. Someone leaked a Supreme Court opinion.
I think it was Austin.
Austin, was that you? A draft of the Supreme Court opinion published by Politico suggests that the Supreme Court is considering overturning Roe v. Wade, a 1973 decision that established a constitutional right to abortion. So it's been around 1970, 50, almost 50 years. This is a decision that's been in place for over 50 years. I got to be honest with you. I'm not so much concerned about what the Supreme Court is doing or what they won't be doing, because a draft is just simply that. Am I right, Mr. Attorney Man, Chad Hummel? A draft is a draft. They can always change their mind when it gets down to the final decision, correct? And Supreme Court justices have done that from time to time.
Yeah, they can certainly change it. The interesting scenario that we find ourselves in, though, is it's like the old saying, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around, does it make a sound, right? We don't ever really know if decisions are being changed or not behind the scenes,
right?
Because typically we're only ever privy to the final decision, right?
That's right.
I believe it's, I don't think it's quarterly necessarily, but every so often the Supreme Court on their schedule releases their decisions. And we don't ever have a debate about what they were going to potentially do based on drafts that had been written.
Right.
This is a weird situation.
It is a very weird situation. And I commented on Twitter, as you know, all opinions should be heard on Twitter, right?
Wait, you commented on Twitter?
I know. Shocking.
Right.
So shocking. I commented that anyone who released this information should be charged with treason. I think it's a treasonous act. Me personally, I find the way that this whole thing happened exceptionally disturbing. Now, I told Chad going into this, I'm not this girl that's going to debate you on abortion.
I thought that's why I was here.
I'm not going to debate, because I don't think there are any winners in the debate. I mean, I
the
think,
baby never wins.
Well, no, of course not.
Debatable.
Nobody wins.
The father never wins.
The father is generally not involved when
the
the
father's
mother
never
decides.
involved.
The father's always the winner in that.
I mean,
The only winner.
the father generally, in a lot of these decisions,
Austin.
women don't go and have an abortion because, the father's all in and willing to marry and support her.
Yeah, that's kind of a red
financially,
herring.
emotionally. I mean, I don't know. Every situation is different. I am just,
therefore go ahead and kill the thing, right? I mean, come on.
no, that's not what I'm saying. See, this is what I mean. There's no winners in this discussion.
Look, first off, I
There's
don't
no
like my new
winners.
seat in this room because I can't see you.
I know.
I got this pole in this camera.
light.
There's a pole of lights, a bay of lights,
Right.
in between me and Kimberly, so I can't see it. Is this the view you normally have over
Yeah,
here,
he
Tom?
doesn't mind. The more he doesn't see me, the better.
Nice.
I'm just happy to be here, Chad.
So
Yes.
if the people that are watching the podcast right now, so if you see me continually duck my head and you're wondering what the hell I'm doing, it's because I'm trying to get a visual on Kimberly to make sure that when I'm debating her on whether or
I'm not crying.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see at what point I make her cry.
No, you're not going to make me cry. But yeah, I mean, it just sounds crazy. What the hell is Politico? It's an online political site, right? I mean, that's what Politico is.
It's
Politico
like We the
is.
People Podcast Network. It's just another collection of people talking.
Yeah, and I think they have written, political stuff for a number of years. They're kind of like the Daily Beast. They're kind of like a number of other sites out there, but somehow, they got a hold of a draft opinion that was leaked, and the leak itself is kind of unprecedented. I mean, you've got it there. What is your take on this whole thing? I mean, first off, I don't. Do you see this leak coming from inside Supreme Court chambers? I mean, that maybe someone, a clerk or something. Because I can't
has
see
to be,
anybody
right?
blowing up their career. If they're clerking for the Supreme Court, that is like the epitome of getting there, right?
Well, this is either fake, this decision, and I have it in front of me. I printed it off a little while ago. It's 67 pages.
67 pages.
Yeah, here it is. It's
The Supreme Court confirmed it was real.
Yeah.
Oh, did they today?
Yeah.
They did.
Oh, wow. I
And
didn't hear
the
that.
Chief Justice,
So
who
then it
is
had to have come from the inside then, of course.
Had-
Where else
yeah.
could it have come from?
John Roberts, who I think is, first off, there are 9 Supreme Court justices. And
And one of them doesn't know what a woman is, but come on.
and the new one doesn't know what a woman is. So I find this whole thing very disturbing. I mean, if you can't rule on abortion if you can't figure out what a woman is. I mean, I would think that would be the first step. Let's find out what a
Well,
woman is, and then we'll debate on whether you should
posed
get an
this-
abortion or not.
I posed this question on Facebook earlier today. I wanted to know if anyone was going to hold Ketanji Jackson Brown's hand and walk her through this decision. Since she doesn't know the difference between a man and a woman, how is she even going to understand? Keeping in mind, she wasn't around for this decision.
No, she was not. It's my understanding. And by the way, there are 9 Supreme Court justices. There are 8 honorable justices. And then kind of like, you got to have one chief and the rest are Indians. And the chief is John Roberts. And he is angry today, as you can imagine. He wants to get to the bottom of who leaked this to Politico, when the leak happened, how it got leaked. And again, I think the how and the why is really the main thing to be concerned about, not necessarily. And I know people are losing their ever-loving minds over the fact that Roe v. Wade could be overturned after 50 years. Me, personally, I say leave it alone. Leave it alone. It's been 50 years. No need to overturn it. I know you and I, morally and ethically, Chad, probably disagree on that particular thing.
It's not possible. There's nothing to disagree on.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
There's only one scenario where you take a life, self-defense.
I mean, that is a very good point. That is a very good point.
If the mother's life is in danger, then I guess she's free to consult with her doctor, and,
right.
And that should be the extent of it.
So you have the documents there. How many? Can you hold up that set of papers? I mean, that's linked. You printed it off.
67 pages is, in fact, the entire document is 98 pages, but the balance of it, the approximate 30-page balance of it, is more of a historical reference to each state's law prior to Roe v. Wade.
Right.
In other words, each state, as I think you kind of alluded to, the states, many of them, they already had legislation in place, either banning or allowing abortion pre Roe v. Wade, and then Roe v. Wade came in and essentially carved out of thin air this so-called constitutional right to kill your own baby.
Right. I don't know if that's anywhere in the Constitution.
Not even mentioned.
Is that mentioned anywhere in the Constitution?
No, even the abortion proponents
okay.
would admit and acknowledge that it's not mentioned in the Constitution.
This majority opinion was written by Justice Samuel Alito. And is it my understanding? I mean, the draft ruling was written in February. So at some point in time between February and now, has Politico been sitting on this and going over all the documents?
It's quite possible. Yeah, I'm looking at, so there's a stamp up in the corner of the document, and it says to, and then it lists all the justices from Justice Alito, and then it says circulated February 10th, 2022. So apparently after Justice Alito wrote this decision, this draft decision, it was then circulated to his colleagues on February 10th. So at any point in time after he essentially printed the final draft here that I'm looking at and circulated it, I don't know, how do they circulate it? Through email, through PDF? Did they put it in each other's mailboxes at the office? I don't know.
Did someone hack into, you think?
Oh, that's a possibility.
Because
right?
I mean, I don't think, and I could be wrong. I don't know that anyone on the staff of the Supreme Court.
I would hope Supreme Court is a little bit more secure than being hacked. But
there's confidentiality agreements once you take a position, right? As a clerk or a secretarial or admin or anything like that, you have to.
Yeah, but let's face it. The major national news stories of at least the past decade, doesn't it seem that it's always some sort of leak, right? We're always hearing about, such and such was leaked. And an example doesn't jump right to mind.
But this is the first time
do we know
ever.
where Lieutenant Colonel Vidman is right now?
There you go. That was a leak, right?
Right. The Russia collusion.
Right.
Yeah. This stuff always seems to come on a leak. And the idea behind a leak is it's untraceable, theoretically.
But this leak is unprecedented because never before in the court's history has an opinion like this ever been made public.
That's my understanding.
While a case is pending. I mean, that's
correct. There is no actual final decision yet. But now here we are debating something that's presumptively.
So is this leak to put pressure on them to not do this decision?
That's one
is
of the
that the purpose of the leak?
Oh, it's all political.
Yeah.
But it's evil. And again, I think, treasonous. Once you figure out the why and the who, I think that there are charges that should be lobbied, right? On
one of the
on the
so-called
person.
experts that came onto Fox News last night, I loved it. He called it
Yeah, because you said this came out last night.
late last night.
I did not hear anything about this particular Supreme Court draft being leaked until this morning.
Sometime after 9:00 last night, all the major news networks
Had it.
started reporting on it.
Oh,
Yeah, so I think Political let the cat out of the bag at some point last night, and immediately all the talking heads, all the experts were brought on TV to talk about this. And one of them on Fox News referred to this as an insurrection, and it was great. So now that's going to be
this is the insurrection.
Yeah, that's going to be the conservative news is talking.
Don't the Democrats?
There's a lot.
Don't the Democrats generally applaud whistleblowers? Isn't that kind of their thing? I mean,
yeah.
We're assuming that this would be somebody that leans left that's leaking this.
I don't
so they
see
would
any
stop it from being published.
Then why wait until now? I don't see any liberal waiting until from February until now to leak it, right? Because they want to kick it out there as soon as possible.
Maybe it was on the memo board when you walk into the Supreme Court, and with one of those
to do.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Underneath, looking for somebody that wants to do janitorial service.
The
local realtors,
right?
There's something that's probably more to it that we're never going to know. But it seems to me that the bottom line is that yes, it was leaked. It was leaked for political purposes,
of course,
to create this debate and discussion, to get the uproar going from the left.
So is it
there's going to be a bunch of vagina hat wearing women running around Washington D.C.
Well, this could change all the midterm elections.
Yeah, it could.
That too.
It could, or it's meant as a distraction. See over here, but don't be looking over here. It's some kind of a distraction because they don't want you to see what else is going on. What else is going on? The Ukraine, President Biden's mental status, which is always, day to day. And I've got a video I'll show you a little bit earlier, but I want you to look at that picture just for a second. Look at this picture just for a second. And again, I have always been pro-choice.
The dreaded coat hanger.
I'm like, no more wire hangers.
Right.
That's a Joan Crawford movie. If you ever, if you're a movie buff.
From the 50s?
No, from the actual, when did Mommy Dearest come out? The 80s? I think so, yeah. Mommy Dearest, which was the biography of Faye Dunaway played the Joan Crawford character. But anyway, no wire hangers. So, of course she's standing there, not your body. There's someone else there. My body, my choice. Someone saying back there, I'm pro-choice. All these freaking idiots were probably shouting, get vaxxed, wear your mask. And these are the people that were screaming at you in grocery stores across the nation because people like me and people like Chad and not Tom, but people like me and people like Chad walked into places without wearing a mask. These are the same people that are today shouting, it's my body. And if the Supreme Court overturns it, blah, 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 blah. I've never seen so many hypocrites on Twitter.
Phenomenal.
I know. I mean, have you at all? What was your first thought when you saw this whole thing? My first thought was, you're going to have these hypocrites come out of the woodwork now because my body, my choice only has to do with one thing.
It's certainly a political thing. It's all about, in order for, and I don't want to go off too much on a tangent here, but
go off on a tangent. That's what we're here for.
In order for the two-party system that we have in place in this country, in order for that to continue to survive, there needs to be this sort of dissent and line in the sand type of political rancor existing in the United States. And this is what happens, right? So we have these, they're called wedge issues. It's a wedge issue. It's an issue that's designed to drive a wedge in between people that might otherwise agree politically, philosophically, on a million things, but on the million and first thing,
That's it.
you have to pick your team.
Yeah.
They think it's a football game.
Yeah.
I'm going to root for the Redskins. You're going to root for the Cowboys. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We're not going to root for a high-scoring game together. We're not going to root for a low-scoring game together. We're not going to root for a game to go to overtime or down to the wire. You're going to pick your side. I'm going to pick my side, and we're going to fight to the death.
Yes.
And that's the only way the two-party system can exist in this country. So largely, this becomes political. And then, unfortunately, the useful idiots, like the woman with the whatever she's wearing with shit painted all over her and hanging a coat hanger over her head,
Right.
you know, it's so that she can get on TV and pretend that, you know, suddenly she's not going to be able to murder her unborn baby if she doesn't want to. And oh, by the way, that's the real crux of this issue is this decision, right? This Justice Alito draft. If this ends up becoming the Supreme Court decision, it does not ban abortion by any stretch of the imagination.
It leaves it to the states.
It leaves it to the states.
Which a lot of the, you know, see all those states in red right there that we're showing you on that picture? All those states in red, at least 13 of those states have, again, what I called trigger laws that will immediately ban abortions. It's 13 of them. The blue states, of course, New York is blue, California is blue, Nevada is blue, Oregon.
What the hell's Kansas doing in that group? That seems a little weird, doesn't it?
Kansas is very conservative.
But they're with Colorado and New Mexico and California and Nevada. Shouldn't they be red?
I don't know, but it depends on what the, you know, what their law reads. I mean, I have no idea, but Kansas is conservative. Missouri is conservative. So, but you see these states, not all those states are going to immediately tomorrow.
They're even more conservative now that you left.
So you might, right? I don't live in Kansas, but the thing is that people are asking, why are we even talking about this? Because I guess a lot of people didn't know about the Mississippi law that would ban abortions after 15 weeks, and it went to the Supreme Court. This is why we're having this discussion and why the Supreme Court, Justice Alito even put out a draft, is because of this Mississippi law, which was appealed all the way up to the Supreme Court. And some Supreme Court experts obviously think that this may be the one state that overturns the way Roe versus Wade it happens going forward.
Yeah, it'll literally overturn Roe v. Wade. It'll be gone. And you know, there's a case that not many people are aware of or talk about because, you know, again, we just need to refer to Roe v. Wade and people understand what the issue is. But there was a case several years later, the Casey case,
right,
that further developed Roe v. Wade, made it easier, so to speak, for states to allow for abortions to occur. But again, if this decision is signed, it'll be a complete overturning of both of those cases. But as I alluded to a minute ago, it will not ban abortion by any stretch. You can still go to California and kill your baby. You can still go to New York and kill your baby. That'll always be the case.
Right.
New York and California aren't going to, you know, fall on the side of banning abortion anytime soon. And, you know, here's what's interesting too. So I started to read this 67-page decision. I refreshed myself. I hadn't, and again, I'll be honest.
The Fox and the Hen House, because we don't know how that got leaked.
Do they have a Clip Notes version of that?
That's what I asked.
Yeah, I'm giving it to you right now.
That's what I asked. It's like, there's no way this was released yesterday because no one from Politico could understand that immediately what's going on.
There's no way I could take a crap that long.
I hadn't read Roe v. Wade since law school, so I reread that today and kind of refreshed my recollection about
Dayton University.
That's correct. In Ohio, in the great state of Ohio, in southwestern Ohio.
If you see Ohio, there is a red state.
Of course.
In case you couldn't see that. Yeah.
So one of the things that Roe v. Wade based its decision on was, and these are words taken directly from the case, the sensitive and emotional nature of the abortion controversy and population growth, pollution, poverty, and racial overtones. I'm not sure what any of those have to do with abortion, but then when I read the words that are used at the outset of Alito's decision, one of the common themes that seems to be running through here is the idea that as the times change, these decisions need to change. And if the factors that existed at the time of Roe v. Wade that allowed for abortion to occur involve population growth and pollution and poverty and so on and so forth, then, you know, I wonder if now that we live in 2022, where, you could probably get an Uber across state lines,
Sure.
can, it's flying commercial airlines is much more readily available. The economies of the average American family are much more significant. People can travel now, right?
People can travel. You can also go down to your CVS or Walgreens
And pop a pill.
and pop a pill. I mean,
Yeah.
if you do it soon enough, if you wait till 15 weeks, and God forbid, I don't know anybody who thinks that's a good idea. I mean, I don't
Right.
think anybody thinks that's a good idea anywhere, right? I don't know anyone who's doing that, but it's just so you could go right down, take an Uber to your Walgreens or CVS.
So the factors that existed at the time Roe v. Wade was decided, and I don't agree with the decision anyway,
Mhm.
but even if you take the arguments that they used at the time, they don't exist anymore.
No,
So the same justices, if they were held to their own standards at the time they wrote Roe v. Wade, they may have to change their opinion
of course.
because things
And
weren't
they probably
available to
would
people.
change your opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not unlike us, but of course, Alito says it's time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives. So if you don't like the decision that whatever your state is going to come to,
Vote the bastards out.
it's the American way, right?
Grab your coat hanger and vote them out.
It is the American way. So, but Alito is joined by several other justices that you could probably go, okay, well, that makes sense. Clarence Thomas, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett, the latter three that were appointed by President Trump.
Thank you, Donald Trump. Grab my Donald Trump pen over there.
Right?
I will be the greatest president that God ever created.
But
And there you have it. He cites God.
Polls have consistently found, and I don't know that if you're one to believe in the polls, maybe you do, maybe you don't, that the majority of Americans oppose overturning Roe versus Wade. And I think they did a survey out of Marquette University, which is a Jesuit university, right?
It's in Wisconsin.
It's in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It's a private Jesuit college.
It's where Dwayne Wade went.
That 72% is he a basketball star?
Yes,
Yes.
he was.
Hall of
And
Famer, I
only you
think.
guys would know
I
that.
believe he's a Hall of Famer.
That 72% were opposed to getting rid of Roe versus Wade. But I think
Yeah,
a
but
lot
how
of
many
it,
of those 72%, had a clue what they were talking about? In other words, have they ever read Roe v. Wade? Do they even know? You know what I mean?
No.
Sir, I don't trust any survey. And I'm not just saying that
No, of
because it
course
doesn't
not.
support my personal
because
opinion.
they're always slanted in some
Yeah.
way
The
or
questions
fashion.
are asked in a way designed to elicit a certain response. It's like statistics. They can be spun any which way and whatnot.
Without a doubt. So I think, again, with the name of today's show, The Fox in the Hen House, I'm more concerned with how this whole thing happened in a particularly egregious manner that has never happened before in Supreme Court history, where you've had something like this happen. Are they calling it an insurrection? You said they were?
Yeah.
Okay, so January 6th was an insurrection. This is an insurrection. You know what else was an insurrection? Burning down cities in 2020. That was an insurrection.
Yeah.
How many insurrections can we possibly have? That is
Minnesota,
the most overused freaking word ever.
right.
But I all I have to say is, if you're going to say your body, your choice on this, you have to have it for everything, right? So it's my body, my choice on whether or not I want to get vaccinated or boosted or wear a mask
Or kill your baby.
or whatever. Yes. I mean, you make it seem so horrible, but
Well, it is.
I understand your thinking, and it is.
And that's the
And
other
I-
thing that people should have to do. They should, before they answer a survey question and say they agree with Roe v. Wade and it shouldn't be overturned, they should go watch an abortion. They should go watch. Same thing with the death penalty. Go watch somebody get
Yeah.
fried in the electric chair, and
I've watched that, actually.
have
I
you
mean,
really?
yes. So when
You've
I was,
seen an execution.
I have seen an execution, and I will tell you
Interesting.
how I saw the execution. So I
Was
was,
this before or after you divorced him?
I buried him in the backyard. I buried him in a barrel in Lake Mead. Lake Mead is like all the water's going away,
Right.
so now all the dead bodies are showing up in Lake Mead. Did you see that
I
story?
saw that.
So
yeah.
no,
God.
okay. So it was I was working in Jefferson City. It was my second radio job ever, and of course you get a lot of protests and stuff in Jefferson City all the time. But in this particular case,
I thought that was just when you were on the radio.
there was a guy and they did the executions at the correctional facility there in Jefferson City, the Potosi Correctional Facility, and there was a guy, George Tiny Mercer. He was a member of the Hells Angels in Kansas City, and he and a bunch of his guys kidnapped a waitress from some diner there in Independence, Missouri. And basically they kidnapped her. They had their way with her. And when they were done, George Tiny Mercer, this guy that was put to death, I think it was 1988. It was my first year at that radio station. So first year out of college. So it's probably January, February that year. He decided he was going to kill her, cut up her body pieces, and throw them along 40 Highway, which is a major thoroughfare in the Kansas City Independence area. So anyway, so he's on death row. This happened like 10 years before. He'd been sitting on death row for 10 years. My news director was on the pool for the witnesses. He was a witness. They would take like 2 or 3 media witnesses, and then I think it was family of either the guy who was going to be put to death or the family of the victim, right? And that was all that could sit in that little room that had a curtain and the whole thing. And it was lethal injection. And so my news director came down with a horrible case of strep throat.
Should have got vaccinated.
I was the assistant news director. And so as the assistant news director, I had to step up and be a witness for the execution of George Tiny Mercer, which happened in 1988, 88 or 89. I forget which year it was, but it's something you never forget.
Yeah.
Ever.
Anything eventful? Did he?
No, it was,
Just
nothing.
died?
Just
Went to sleep?
Just died. They did the lethal injection. There were hundreds of people that were protesting outside the prison. I do remember that because I had to have an escort from my car into the correctional facility. But it's rather interesting when you do see something like that taking place.
How did you feel afterwards? Did you feel?
I've never seen a man die before.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Did it impact you, affect you at all?
I was 23 years old.
So is the answer yes or no?
I honestly,
was it a Friday
Honor,
night? And were you going to happy hour afterwards?
no, I wasn't going. No, but I'll tell you why, because it took place at a minute past midnight.
Oh,
so it was a minute past midnight, and I had to be at work at the radio station. In fact, I took a nap. They had to be at the prison by I think it was 11 o'clock at night, and then they brought you in, and you had to go through and sign a bunch of stuff. But anyway, I had to be at the radio station by 4 that morning for the whole slew of morning news. So I didn't, go out. He deserved to die. Absolutely. 100%. But I am a death penalty supporter. I believe that you get where you are generally because 99.9% of the time you're guilty of sin. But it does kind of change your perspective on the law.
Sure.
I mean, could you imagine sitting there watching? But what he did to this poor girl was heinous. It was awful.
I had to argue when you're in law school, you have to do a moot court competition, and you're given your subject, and you're essentially provided what side of the topic you have to argue, and then that's how you have to present your argument to a panel of judges in the area. And mine was on the death penalty, and I believe I was obliged to argue against the death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that situation, early on in my career, as far as having to, go through all the constitutionality of it and so on and so forth.
Pretty interesting, though.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing, you'll never forget it. You'll never forget the look on his face. You'll never forget. And, you feel like he's looking right at you.
Right. And he is.
Until he closed his eyes and,
Went to
a
sleep.
horrible individual that was just taking up space and breath. And what they did to that poor girl who was only 19 years old is a horrible thing.
All right. Well, speaking of taking up space, I do.
Are you taking up space?
Yeah, I am. I do have
so
to
the
run.
Fox in the hen house.
All right. So your homework for tomorrow, Chad, is to make sure you read all those 69 pages.
67.
60. Well, you're going to do a couple extra. Just
We appreciate you sitting in because I think this is more me personally. I look at this and think I want to know why and how it happened as opposed to the decision in general. Because again, according to the state, whatever state you live in, and our governor, Kathy Hochul, insists that you will still be able to get an abortion in New York State.
Oh yeah, on demand.
I don't know if it's on demand. I don't know what the rules are.
In New York, I'll leave you with this. In New York, it was about 18 months ago, the New York State lawmakers eliminated the criminal component for a doctor who does not provide first aid to a baby born to a botched abortion. So think about that. Baby's born to a botched abortion. It's alive. Its life can be preserved at this point, and that's considered a crime if a doctor doesn't step in. New York State eliminated that criminal statute. So now, effectively or essentially, doctor and mom can close the door and allow the baby to die, and there's no criminal liability.
The whole thing is
This is what
awful.
Roe v. Wade has led to.
Yeah.
So
The whole thing is awful.
all right.
But
Well,
again,
you guys have a great day.
we appreciate you coming in. This whole thing started because of a Mississippi case that would ban abortions after 15 weeks. And I don't think anybody at 15 weeks thinks that an abortion is, I don't even, know the circumstances, but it's got to be it's got to be a tremendously horrible decision to make. And as I've said all day today, I am pro-choice. But if you're going to be pro-choice, you have to be pro-choice about everything when it comes to your body and medical procedures, shots, right? Whatever,
100%.
whatever it takes, any kind of
Yeah.
surgical procedure. But that's just me. Please, of course, support our advertisers, Taylor Heating and Plumbing and Precision Lawn and Garden. They support Kimberly's Revolution. They support us here at the We the People Podcast Network, and we really appreciate them. So please, if you need a water heater or an air conditioner, or if you need a new lawnmower, Precision Lawn and Garden, Taylor Heating and Cooling. And of course, we want you to call Brian at Express Sealers if you need a driveway sealed, because they are great guys. Can you go down with it's Kimberly? I don't see it up right there. Up down. Kimberly, why focus on why it was leaked? Pro-lifers worry about. I see. Okay, is it a zygote? Is that what it is? Is that how you pronounce that? But
Yeah.
But where they are 70 years later, the zygote is alone in a nursing home. I don't know. I think that, and I always said, it's hard to debate abortion because you just know winners. There just aren't. It's back and forth.
It's
back
only
and forth.
it's only a political issue.
And it's definitely no fun talking about it. But I think this particular, situation and how it got to the point where a Supreme Court draft was leaked, I think is awful. And I think it's treasonous. And I think there should be, some kind of charges. So enough of that. Chad will be back with us tomorrow on Kimberly's Revolution. So we will talk to him then. I want to go to before we go to Portland, Oregon, because I don't know if you guys have seen this video. I want to talk about what's happening in Democratic cities all across the country, not only Washington State and Oregon, but here in New York State as well. And let me just tell you that since the weekend, including last night, we have had 9 shootings. And I got to be honest with you, 9 shootings in 72 hours in Rochester, New York. 4 shootings alone on Sunday. I can't even tell you how many. I think there's 2 or 3 that died as a result of the shootings that happened between late Friday night and last night at 9:00. There was a guy shot. So 9 shootings in 72 hours in the Rock. Crazy, right?
Are we just trying to set this record so far out that nobody will ever reach it? I mean, what's the goal here?
I don't know what the goal is.
I mean, nobody's going to be able to touch this one when we're done.
But do we have
How many got stabbed? Do we have that too?
There were several stabbings over the weekend, and I think one person died from the stabbing related incident.
Mhm.
So I don't know how many homicides. And you know what the sad thing is? There's 9 shootings between Friday and last night, and we don't even know how many of those, ended up in deaths, resulted in. And next week it'll be 9 more, and we'll still be sitting here going, okay, there's 9 more shootings. And the gatherings of the peace organizations and bringing in the social workers and having marches down the street saying there no more violence isn't working. Stop wasting your time with marches and talking about anti-violence get-togethers, because the people you're talking about are shooting each other on the street over from where you're doing the peace march. And that's a fact. I want to show you, and bail reform too is an issue, but I want to show you this happened today, I think. And this is they're doing something downtown, some big announcement about Parcel 5 and some of the major events that are going to be going on down at Parcel 5. So this particular reporter says, I was covering an event at Parcel 5 this morning, which I assume was this morning.
Mhm.
Parcel 5, if you aren't familiar with Rochester, New York, Parcel 5 is a downtown area that had a bunch of buildings. They tore some stuff
It's
down.
part of the old Midtown Plaza.
Part of the old Midtown Plaza. And now it's like just green space, which is what they wanted, right?
Mhm.
To have like whatever, concerts, different festivals, whatever. It's a great idea. I don't mind that. But as Rochester leaders are standing up doing this news event to talk about how great downtown is and what these great events are going to bring into downtown, there's a major police chase going on in the background. Can we hear her?
And keep standing. From Bella Events Group, Jenna Knopf. From Rock Royal Inc., Khadijah Yon. Do we have Litra in the house from Food Concepts? From Downwith Associates, Amanda Angenor. They like to stay.
That's right down Main Street.
Yeah.
To the front today. And a special recognition and thanks goes to Kara Osipovich and Joe Alessi from the city's Office of Special Events. Are Kara and Joe with us? Put up your hands.
Yeah, it's safe. Come on downtown. We're talking about all these big events and all these organizations.
Boy, that's
And
bad timing, huh?
There is nothing. Okay, and let me tell you what's going on. So the U.S. Marshals had initiated a traffic chase of a violent suspect. He was on Ford Street, south of West Main Street, when all those were going on. 9 shootings in the Rock in 72 hours. If that isn't an argument for abortion, I don't know what is. Well, I'm neither going. I'm going to decline to comment on that particular situation. I'm going to decline to comment. But yeah, so in the background, when we're just coming off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, in which Rochester had 9 shootings, we're at Parcel 5, green space, downtown, trying to talk about all the lovely things that are going to be happening.
Lovely.
And then we have U.S. Marshals chasing a suspect that is wanted for some kind of felony that he somewhere committed, or he was in violation of his parole, or whatever. I mean, but that's where the city is. That's where we are. Who wants to come downtown and listen to that nonsense?
Haven't been down there in
Really?
a long time.
I mean, and the problem is, and I think we have a tweet that came out about how many officers were able, to answer calls over the weekend. They were down 86 officers. They had 358 officers answering 911 calls for service, and they only had 272 officers on staff.
Yeah, but
I think is how I understand that.
How many of those calls really are emergencies?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, I wonder what.
If you're calling, you would think it was an emergency, right? I mean, if you're calling 911,
isn't that why they have the other? Was it 311 or whatever?
Listen,
for non-emergencies.
You can call in all the social workers and all the people you want to try to diffuse situations. And you can stand up and say how great it's going to be for the Parcel 5 area. But when it gets down to it, many downtown areas of major Democratic cities are shit shows from start to finish. You can't get around it.
Especially this one.
You just absolutely. I do want to show you a video. This Republican in Portland, Oregon, I think he's a Republican candidate for governor,
Oh.
He's
going to do real well.
Was having some kind of an event in Portland, and it was taken over by Antifa. And of course, there weren't enough Can you imagine being an officer in Portland, Oregon? To hell to the no with that. My daughter's an officer, and I tell her to quit immediately. You cannot. That is a bad situation. That is a horrible situation. Portland got itself to where it is, and they asked for it, and there they are. I say so. Let the city go. But here is a video of how Antifa shut down this guy's gubernatorial event that he was having. They started firing off smoke bombs.
We're taking the city back. We're
There's
funding the police.
there's the Antifa people.
No longer are we going to have the crime and the mayhem. We want the roses back. We're tired of the riot. We need safe communities here in our state. Safe communities here in our state. We will not be intimidated.
Look at that. Crazy. So the Portland Police Bureau, who is already resource strapped, took more than 20 minutes to respond when alleged Antifa members assaulted this campaign event near police headquarters in downtown Portland. They thought they were having it, okay, so let's have it near police headquarters so we won't have an issue. But obviously it became a crime scene. And so there the protesters' violence cut short this gubernatorial event for this particular candidate. So now you can't even have candidate events for someone running for office because in Portland or wherever you have these guys that will come in, Antifa, and shut it down with whatever violent means necessary.
Yeah, this is happening on college campuses all over the country.
But this isn't a college campus.
Right. This is
in a street,
a political event.
A political event on Southwest 3rd and Main Street in downtown Portland, which we've seen political events all over.
Mm-hmm.
But Antifa will come in and do the smoke bombs and, rubber bullets. And, they're scary looking individuals.
The guy's going to lose in a landslide. So what difference does it make? These people,
But it makes all the difference in the world that they're shutting down opposing views and people, who want to get their candidate elected.
Yeah, it's the whole point of freedom of speech.
It is.
You should be able to stand there and
you should
and make your point, no matter if they agree or disagree.
You should absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And the other story that I will get to, and I didn't get a picture of this particular lady and this guy who escaped from an Alabama prison, but this is another escape from Dannemora Clinton Correctional Facility. You remember when the two murderers up north escaped from Dannemora? I think it was Richard Matt and what was the other guy's? David Sweat.
Filled in that tunnel.
Right. And then of course you had this woman Joyce Mitchell, who was a civilian who worked at Dannemora, and that she was a tailor, and she was okay. So this is the woman in Alabama and the guy that she helped escape, who is a violent murderer. That's what he was in prison for. Authorities in Alabama are searching for this corrections officer who had just retired, had turned in her retirement papers, who disappeared along with this particular inmate who is charged with murder. They went missing on Friday. They vanished after this woman, Vicky White, the assistant director of corrections there in Lauderdale County, Alabama. She said she was taking him in for a mental health evaluation, which is standard operating procedure for correctional facilities, right? When you have someone that's, having a breakdown or whatever, you take them to a facility or take them to an area hospital and they're evaluated and they usually go in a prison van or whatever. An official say they never showed up at the clinic and they were never seen again. Now, this is a woman who turned in her retirement papers the day before and sold her house
Oh.
not that long ago. So she has all this cash. Her husband died.
Mhm.
She has no children. She's been a correctional facility employee for 17 years. Been her life.
Well,
3 more
maybe not
years.
long enough for her to get a pension, though. So she
3
doesn't
more years would have had a
Right,
pension,
right.
right? But this story is so similar to the Dannemora prison escape where Joyce Mitchell, who was a civilian, this lady is not a civilian, but she befriended these murderers and helped them escape, brought them in items that helped these 2 murderers in upstate New York escape. Very similar situation. But here's what I don't understand, you guys. What's going on up here? What's going on?
Well, these men,
You're going to get caught.
they're master manipulators to begin with. So,
Right?
obviously she's been preyed upon.
You got nothing but time when you're sitting in prison.
Right. Mhm.
Tick, tock, tick, tock. You got nothing but time to sit and think of a way of how to get out of prison.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you be doing that?
Well, they could read the paper that Chad has over here. They could do that. But, I mean,
Why do that?
What are you going to do? You're right. There's your bed and your toilet.
But how do you talk a person she is the assistant director of corrections for the Lauderdale County, facility, the correctional facility. How do you go from being the assistant director, 17 years on the job, to letting this guy, and by the way, he's 6'9". There ain't no hiding him. Right?
What?
He is 6'9".
What's the old saying, Kimberlina? Love is blind.
Where are you going to go?
There you go.
What line did he use? How did he manipulate her? Because you can't tell me that other people through the years. I mean, that's what these guys do. Again, they're criminals, and they've got all the time in the world to sit around and think of, how am I going to win someone over?
Yeah, he's probably been working on her for years.
You think?
Sure. It's a long game.
So yeah. So he is 6'9". You're going to get caught. She's got to know if she's still alive. You're going to get caught. You're not hiding a dude that's 6'9". They're going to be on the lookout for you in Alabama.
It's easier to get into the country than it is to get out, right?
Yeah. I mean, I always want to figure out what goes through the mind of someone, be it male or female, how you think that you're going to get away with this, that the police aren't going to be on your tail, that Richard Sweat and, Richard Matt and David Sweat, how did they figure that they were going to?
They were going to walk to Canada, weren't they? Somehow
They could have made it. Probably. It was only 20 miles.
Right.
But one of them wanted to stop and drink all the time. That would be you.
Right,
That would be you. You'd want to stop, go bowling. Can we get a drink? I'm
Right.
thirsty.
They're not going to find us at this local saloon.
I find things like that very fascinating, because I don't know how it is that someone can convince you to do something that is going to ruin the rest of your life.
Yeah, she'll be on some Dateline where she's buried in the backyard and
The rest of your life.
this guy got away, right?
I mean, again, I don't think Joyce Mitchell would have made it. What was the end game for them? They were going to make it to Mexico, right? Their plan was they were going to take the car after they killed her husband,
Mhm.
and they were all 3 going to go to Mexico.
Well, when you're
But
this
I don't
desperate,
think she would have ever made it. She wouldn't have made it alive.
but when
to
you're
Mexico.
this desperate, you're willing to take those risks, all right? If you don't want to be in prison any longer, it's like, hey, if they shoot me, they shoot me.
Are you so lonely as a woman, though, that you fall for whatever line that he's a murderer? He's not like he's in because he's robbing banks. He killed people, right? He killed people.
She's
He's in
very
for murder.
forgiving.
I mean, the 2 guys at Dannemora, Richard Matt and David Sweat, killed people. David Sweat put 20 some bullets into a local sheriff's deputy when he accidentally came upon their car in a clearing and they had just robbed some house. I mean, these guys are brutal. They have no conscience. They don't feel bad about killing people.
No.
But I just wonder how they convince a normal looking lady. Can we put her picture up there again?
Yeah.
She looks like a sweet lady.
She does.
How you talk her into, hey, help me escape.
I don't know.
What do you say to that woman?
Maybe you tell her she's got nice boobs and she likes that.
Well, that's what they told Joyce Sweat or Joyce Mitchell. That's what David, Richard Matten and David
Maybe
Sweat
she's
told
so
her.
lonely for attention that anything would,
But
move
she's
her needle.
cute. She's not. She's 50. She looks great for 50. I think she's 50 something. I think she's like in her early 50s is the story, if it was right. And I thought, wow, she looks young, but she's had no children. You can tell. You can tell the women who have no children, they always look so young and refreshed at 50, right? Our children suck the life right out of us.
Literally.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, that does it for me. I just happened to see that and I thought, here we go again with this helping a murderer out of prison. What is going on? It was crazy. It is crazy. All right, just Tom, do you have anything? You have like one thing? Do you have anything?
I do.
You do?
Austin, did you happen to do that video that I sent you?
Oh, you have a video?
I can. Give me 1 second.
I have a video of my conception when I was, at not birth, but my parents together. Here's a video of the conception.
Do I want to see this?
just
Ew,
Tom.
I don't know.
Hold on. Sorry. Give me 1 minute. 1 second.
You sort of got it.
Yeah.
You might have it. I don't know.
It's entirely possible that I could.
But this
potentially
is
have
how I was created.
Okay. Maybe.
Maybe. Oh, hold on. It's not working.
Where
All
did
right,
you?
we'll come back to that.
Yeah. Okay, so you maybe have it or you don't have it.
I could get it in just one.
There's this
second.
house for sale, Kimberlina,
Ooh, I like houses
in
for sale.
Ohio, in Dayton.
They're raising the interest rates tomorrow, by the way.
The Fed
The
is.
Fed is raising the interest rates tomorrow.
That's
FYI.
it's going to be interesting. $162,000. This house in Dayton. Its theme is the Friends TV show. Have you seen this?
I have not.
And it's a themed Airbnb, and apparently they're selling this.
It looks just like the apartment
is Rachel's apartment. The kitchen, the bedrooms, the colors, everything.
Seriously?
Yes.
Wow.
So if you want a replica of Monica's apartment, it's for sale right now. It's a little Cape Cod for $162,000
in Dayton. That's a good deal.
Okay, you ready?
Okay, yes. Is this you at Inception?
And out of control.
Wait a minute.
Is that it?
We're working. We got to fast forward it a little.
How far fast forward?
Everybody likes a good crane crash.
An out-of-control car caused a fiery crash on a Minnesota highway. The incident was captured by a State Department of Transportation camera.
It'll do the. Here it is.
Can be seen driving on the
There's the
on-ramp
conception.
when it skids out of control onto the highway. And
the guy was drunk. Just
truck.
My dad had to be drunk, right?
Into the
Right.
guardrail and burst into flames.
Oh, that's your
The
dad's
incident
your.
snarled
You're so
traffic.
weird.
There
That
you go.
is so random and so weird. I have to say that is very random and weird.
All right, and lastly,
Yes.
This Ohio, again with Ohio, a school board member has been censored for a typo. She had a typo in one of a link that she sent out to the kids. Apparently, it went to a porn site. This was a Cincinnati suburb.
Okay, so which suburb? I used to live in Cincinnati. I did radio in Cincinnati.
Liberty. You know the town of Liberty. It's Lakota School District.
I don't.
Apparently, she thought that this link was going for sexual education for her students, and it was a straight up porn
wasn't.
site.
No.
So,
Okay, so let me-
the question is, did she make a mistake?
Of course she did.
Or was this something that was targeted?
No, of
They
course
asked
she
her.
made a mistake.
They asked her for a resignation.
Oh, I don't know. That's bad. Why would you do that? It clearly was a mistake. So here's my question. Because in the Rochester City School District, there was a lesson plan that had to do with cotton and shackles. So would you rather have the accident of the porn site come up on their homework, or would you rather have a teacher trying to tell some of the students in class to pick cotton and pretend they're wearing shackles? I mean, that happened. So the teacher is here in the Rochester City School District, they're suspended, right?
Yeah.
Pending.
Do better, people. Just do better.
I don't know. I don't know how anyone would think to themselves, this has got to be a great idea. But that's why we're here, to break things down on a regular basis about the stupidity in the world. And we do it right here every Tuesday and Wednesday on Kimberly's Revolution on the We the People podcast network. That's going to do it for us. Is Chad doing his show today?
No, he's not.
He's going to be on with us tomorrow.
I hope so.
Okay. So he's very busy.
He is.
He's very busy. So Kimberly's Revolution will be back tomorrow at 4:00, but you can always watch us anytime you want. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, our website. Also on our Facebook pages, the We the People Podcast Network. You can find it on my Facebook page. We're everywhere.
If you want to advertise on our social media platforms, we
Yes.
can do that.
Yep, you can do that as well. So we appreciate all of our sponsors.
If you want to do a podcast, a political podcast, we can put that together
We
for
can
you.
put that together as well. And of course, as always,
God bless. Be kind to others.
From attic to basement, we're here for you. It's quality service in all we do. Call Taylor 500.